Hello, y'all. Christian White, the One Day at a Time Dad, back with Listening to Learn, a series designed to discover solutions to community issues through the voices of lived experience. I'm here. It's a pleasure with Jamal. Thank you.
Yes,
long time coming. Long time coming.
No doubt.
First, let me ask, because we can get right into everything, how would you define community?
Okay, so community. Community can be based on a geographic location, you know, your neighborhood, which of course we took the neighbor out and showing to hood.
Yes.
Right? Your community can be a group of like-minded individuals and, you know, some sort of similar endeavor that you may enjoy, whether that's, you know, a book club or a workout group or, you know, a religious affiliation or what have you. And you can also create community, once again, with people on a specific issue. These people may not necessarily, you know, they may never even meet again. But at this particular moment in time, they came together on this particular issue and were able to create community around this particular issue. So
good point. A
sense of camaraderie, or if we really break down the etymology of the word, common unity.
Yes. Glad you said that. Do you you just said the neighbor because I always refer to some things as the hood as well and kept the neighbor part out. Do you feel like that has an effect on people's minds over time in not including the neighbor aspect?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, so there was a thing that used to be on TV that they were talking about the dumbing down of America.
Yes, I remember that. Yep.
Right. So that was a big slogan. At that same time, too, I'm gonna say it became like the coldening of America. You know, Boston has always been a cold city. I don't mean weather. I mean, like, you know, you walk around, you be like, hey, how you doing, people?
Yeah. Where's the trick? What's the angle?
You know, so on and so forth. I found my experience actually in New York, which they say is like that as well. I found my experience in New York absolutely the opposite. Like everybody talked to me. White people, black people, hoods, you know, corporate, whatever. Boston I found colder, and of course down south is notoriously, you know, open and friendly. Hey, how you doing? And you know, da. So for us, I think that part of the neighborly aspect, we just don't talk to each other enough, or greet each other or treat each other with respect. One of those things that has to do with it, I'm gonna say, is the sexual or the gender nature of it. So for instance, if a woman walks by me and I say, good morning, how you doing? Automatically her brain may go to think he's trying to holler.
Yeah.
And so she's in safety mode, protect herself mode, do not engage.
Which in many ways is based off of her being hollered at when a lot of people say that.
Because 15 other dudes just tried to holler.
Absolutely.
And then when she didn't respond, called her every manner of, you know, foul and filth. So I get it. But I wish that we were able to return to a little bit of civility and you know, I don't know. I grew up with the phrase too, you know, a gentleman and a gangster, that type of thing, you know. In my day, my grandfather and my father.
How old are you?
49.
Okay.
Born in 71. So my grandfather and my father, you know, more coming up in the 70s, and my grandfather more in the 40s and 50s. You know, my grandfather was like a dude, always wore suits.
Yeah.
You know, there was still like a level of class and all that. They didn't speak to women in a certain way. Even in the 70s, by the time that came in, you really had to be hardcore pimping to really show that level of disrespect to a woman.
Ah, interesting.
Because when the pimping came in, that's when the disrespect to the women came in. But even in that, now how do I say? They would disrespect one, right? But then still revere another. So you were dirty so-and-so, you know, right? But you, oh, hello, Miss Ma'am.
Yeah.
How you doing today, Miss Ma'am? Everything all right? So I don't know how to explain, but even still there needs to be rules to the game and a level of cordiality and civility. And, you know, we've lost things like etiquette and manners and, you know, the way we speak to each other and speak to our elders, or, you know, what have you. I've seen young people brush past elder people to get in the door of, let's say, like a supermarket or whatnot, as opposed to slowing down and holding the door for them. So they could disrespect that elder, but you say something to their grandmama or granddaddy, you know, they're going to be ready to pop off.
One of those, all women are bitches, but the women in my personal family. It's like, no, it does not work that way.
Yeah. So, you know, and those are the things that we really, you know, particularly as men, those are the things that we really got to self-examine and just think about, like, does this make sense? You know, because a lot of this just, it don't make no good sense. If you really just spend a couple of minutes thinking about it, you can unravel that mystery real quick, you know, and, you know, and not for nothing too, on that thing, you know, all women is hoes and bees. Okay, so then, but you want one?
Yeah.
So you're gonna find a hoe or a bee to boo up with, and that, like, there ain't no women out there?
Yeah, at all. At all, not one.
It's a rough life.
It's a rough life, absolutely. So, obviously, I follow you on Facebook and share your lives and all that. Why activism? How did that come about?
By accident.
And for real? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, because
I wouldn't have thought that.
Like a set of circumstances. So I think that the way that my life played out, I don't know that there was anything else that was gonna, you know, it's like a chemistry set.
Were you in the sense of like you were prepared for what you do?
No, meaning that the combination, like if you mix ammonia and oh man, if you mix ammonia and bleach, you're gonna get that chemical reaction.
Yes.
Okay. So somebody that had the ingredients that I had, the mixture of the level of intelligence and the way that I was just sucking information in.
Yes.
Plus the fact that, you know, the time that I was born, 71, and coming up in the family that I did, which the time and my family was the merger of, let's say, like black entrepreneurism, black arts movement, and black power movement. My cousin, blaming on Aaron, you know, I was a voracious reader, but I was just reading stuff like, you know, Chronicles of Narnia, The Hobbit.
Yes.
And, you know, people like, oh, The Hobbit, well, that's science fiction. But, you know, The Hobbit was yay thick, you know, and I read all of them. The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, you know, and all of the Chronicles of Narnia, which was like a 10-book series or whatever it is. So, and comic books, devouring them. So my cousin was seeing how much I was reading and how quickly I was absorbing information. He was like, hey, yo, check this out. And he gave me the autobiography of Malcolm X at 10 years old. Above my reading level, but he knew I can handle it based on the fact that I was already absorbing J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis.
Absolutely.
So if I could take in the Dungeons and the Dragons.
How old was your cousin at this time?
Oh, he was a college student in Dartmouth College.
Okay, so was he in his 20s already, or?
No, yeah. So yeah. He was we actually just talked the other day. He's 11 years older than me.
Okay,
yeah,
and
so he's 60 now.
He saw that potential.
Yeah, and matter of fact, the copy of the autobiography of Malcolm X he gave me was the one that he just finished reading. You know what I mean? And it went on to that. He put me on to Amiri Baraka, at that time, who was known as Leroy Jones.
Yes.
Who wrote the poem, not the poems, the plays, Dutchman and the Slave.
Yep.
And so I got that old tattered and torn Dutchman and the Slave copy. And then these are the way circles work. Later on in my life as a poet and hip hop and all that, I actually met Amiri Baraka, who ended up befriending me and becoming my elder and a mentor of mine and all that. And he signed, you know, that copy, and you know, God bless him and rest in peace to him and his family. You know, he's one of those ones I wish was still here. But full circle, these are the people who put me on to this. My stepfather, who I didn't even used to get along with, is the first one to put me on to The Last Poets, right? And now The Last Poets is like mentors and elders and uncles, and you know what I mean? I call them on the phone right now. So like it's weird how these things have happened, and these people are necessarily put into your life, but like I can't say that. Like I have to. I don't want to say it happened by accident. Not like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When I say accident, meaning that it happened by things outside of my control.
Yes.
I would love to say, oh yeah, I was so smooth and I was so cute and I was so
there was
fly.
some intention behind it.
I just boom, 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 boom. Nah. It's like I'm a vessel that a whole bunch of things was poured into, and then as I traverse through life, I just happen to stumble upon people and places and things. And I think people in the Christian faith, they say that my steps were ordered.
Yes.
That type of thing, like that. So, I don't know that I could have gotten out of this life, had I wanted to. And not for nothing, too, there have been times, to go spiritual for a minute, on the Bible, one of my favorite books of the Bible is Ecclesiastes.
Yep.
Where here you have one of the wisest man, richest man, had it all, seen it all, been everywhere, whatever, been around the world and right? So here's Solomon, who's not satisfied with life.
Yes.
And questioning everything.
Yes.
Right? So I've been at moments in my life where it's like, man, maybe I should have just, because I'm telling you what's messed up for me, at least, I've had more problems as a good guy than I have as a bad guy.
What do you mean by that?
So, for instance, when I was a bad guy, my lights ain't never got turned off. You see what I'm saying? So, bad guy me just didn't have like financial problems, at least.
Yes.
Was out the window. When, as funny as it is, or not funny, when I did not care about women were beating a path to my door.
Yeah.
Okay?
I totally, I get what you mean.
When I became a person who was actually trying to be caring and responsive and respectful and present, I became less of a desirable.
Yes.
What have you. So, but not for nothing. Why we have sayings and all that, these things don't come out of nowhere. So, everybody's heard the saying, good guys finish last. Well, where did that come from? That came a long time ago, apparently, because we've all heard it by now. But it must have came up from a guy who, or a woman, whoever came up with it, but someone who noticed that phenomenon.
Yes, absolutely.
Which means that the phenomenon even existed before the saying.
Yes, absolutely.
The saying was a recognition that, man, it's rough out here. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So, for me, there's been times where it's like, man, I might have been better off staying selling drugs, staying not giving a damn about nobody but me.
Yes.
And those are the moments too that I have to go deeper inside myself and reel myself in, because you trying to do right. At some point you got to be like, yo, what did Tretch from Naughty by Nature say? I do my dirt all by my lonely. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, check it out. You also got to do your right all by your lonely. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you're gonna be righteous, you're not doing righteous because there's a crowd of 1,000 people behind you saying, yeah, you just did the right thing. You got to do the right thing sometimes alone. Sometimes you got to do the right thing when there's 1,000 people telling you that you a sucker for doing the right thing. So.
Absolutely. And because I remember when I was in prison this last and final time, I remember, and it was a thought that I had never had, but I had woke up one morning, and in the background, I'm addressing the trauma, the mental health, all that. But I woke up and it hit me, a few things hit me. One was that Christian did not ask to be here. So I owed him. And then also, I always looked at, I've done 3 state sentences, 3 county sentences, and, in and out of 52A status and arrested and all that. And every single time I was ever locked up, I always said, well, fuck them. They're lucky that I didn't do worse, because I didn't ask to go through what I went through. I didn't ask to be in the position I was in. I always kind of found a way to justify things. But it hit me that when young people were coming in from the neighborhood, and I've been inactive for many years, but they still had that vision that I was still somehow what they were looking up to and wanted to aspire to be. And it made me realize, like, you owe your community, your neighborhood, first of all, but your community a debt. You played a role in setting up generations of destruction. And that, I think, really started sitting with me. And it's like, it made, when you were talking about being being good by yourself and realizing, like, no matter what, once you kind of embark on that path, it's like, you got to be real behind closed doors as you are in public. You got to be the same person, the integrity. And it really hit me. And I was like, I got to show, I don't even have to show people a different way. I just need to become a better example. That I was never taught. First of all, I wasn't taught to be a man, a brother, a friend, a lover, anything. I was taught to be the N-word and a savage. Right. And I evolved that the best that I could. Right. Which typically meant we caused more havoc. And it's like, but I always think about that. But let me ask, what do you, I happen to know a big thing with you is police reform. I mean, there's many big issues that you care about, but I feel like this kind of tops the charts. Why?
So, you know, growing up where we did, Humboldt Avenue, I've met some peachy keen officers. Yeah. So,
whether night shift or day shift.
Yeah. So, early on, I was, you know, not for nothing, and talking about, you know, not having examples in the household, right? So, where like Obama was like talking about, you know, parents around the world have to give their kids the talk, and the fathers and the son talk. Ain't nobody give me no talk.
Yes,
I didn't get no talk.
Exactly.
My first experience was a real life jump off.
Yes.
And once again, being a kid in the 70s, 71, and so let's talk not even my teenage. So, you know, let's talk 71 to like 82.
Yes.
Up until I'm 10, 11. By that time, you know, I had heard officers openly refer to people as nigger.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced that as a teen. That's
yeah, but I mean, I'm saying this is before
this was your first. Yeah, this was your.
I wasn't even on the street. I'm talking about like me and my mom's in hand, or like going to the store to go get my auntie a pack of cool cigarettes, or you know, play her number, or back in the day, you know, when Humboldt was still a liquor store and a steak and cheese and all that.
Wally's.
So you know, that was back in the days when a kid could still go and get like stuff for they people.
Yes.
I'm an underage, but you can send me there. I could get a little piece of liquor. I could get cigarettes, steak, cheese, whatever. She would, hey, get yourself a little something, get you some fries or whatever. Go across the street to Utley's and grab me some milk and all that. You know, boom, boom, boom. And so just in my traversing out there, not on the street, not criminal, I'm just a little kid, boop, 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 going to the store, hoping to get me a little piece of candy or something at the end. And I encountered what officers were already doing to other people out there and hearing these racial terms. Then as I grew up later, you know, when I say later, not much later, so if the end of that is 11, now you're talking about 12, 13, 14. Now is when it starts getting real. Yeah. Okay. So now is when I don't know if I want to mention names, but I think I will. Armstead.
If anyone does not know Armstead, K9 unit.
Oh man.
Solo with his dog. Didn't who got arrested for killing his dog? Didn't somebody get arrested for? I remember his dog got stabbed.
But then he got another one.
Yeah, and he went on a rampage. Listen. And I'm like, people don't realize, like, people like, and you know, this is a black cop. We're not talking about a white cop, but you had Armstead. People don't remember, like, Tito Washington, like the old silver bullet, like Mike Feeney, and like, people don't, man, I remember literally, I mean, from walking to Homestead in Humboldt to Crawford in Humboldt, I would get frisked by different detectives 4 times.
Right, exactly.
They'll pull you right in the hallway, strip you naked, neighbors walking up and down like they didn't care, looking in your ass for a pack, like it was so. But for us, it was just normal. Like it was what life was. I never understood that the introduction you have to an organization, a section, anything, my introduction to the police was adversarial.
Exactly.
It was not. I didn't. You know, it wasn't one of those. I was the type of kid when they brought me to the Nashua Street for Scared Straight. I'm like, man, let's go in the cell now then. It's like, you know, but it was always amazing to me how I started. And when I thought about that, it made me think of even when I was a kid, like you talked about things not being in accident because they're happening to you, right, and you're adjusting to it. But even my introduction to family was fucked from the start. Right. I had to relearn all these things. But no, please continue, because I want to understand how you came to.
So the dog particularly had a super impact on me, because once again, at the same time too, now I'm, you know, once again I'm becoming, you know, in teenage years, and then once again I said I'm a smart kid. So I'm seeing this dog, and I'm looking at this like, yo, and it's a German Shepherd. Yes. And I'm looking at this like, wow, this looks like Nazi Germany, yeah, which looks like 1950 Mississippi.
Well, and yeah,
which looks like apartheid South Africa.
I'm glad you said that, because I don't think people truly grasp. And this is a strong word, but it's the best word I can think of. The occupying mentality that the force had when we were growing up.
Yeah.
That they were ordered to do.
I was more scared of the police as a young man than I was the tough guys on the block.
Absolutely.
And that was, once again, being a smart kid, because based on observation, the tough guys on the block would tell you, yo, man, I'm gonna F you up, I'm gonna F you up. And they be talking a lot. Yes. That's back in the days too, man. We used to do this with the shoulders.
Yes.
The shoulder dance. So all that.
We were doing the Mayweather way before Mayweather.
So all that stuff, you know, but I would notice, okay, they might have done, but they talk you to death.
Yes.
When the cops said, we're gonna mess you up,
yeah,
they were men of their word.
They were men of their word.
And they were committed.
They were.
They were dedicated to their craft.
There was only one, I'll never forget it. There was only one cop that I would describe as the older cop in colors. It was this cop, Greg Brown. His partner was this dude, Rick Rabb. But Greg, I'll never forget, it was like 2:30 in the morning. We had a dope house, and me and my man Rohan, we used to do all-nighters every night. I was homeless, so I slept there, and something happened. DT comes, and they were beating Rohan's ass. I mean, with the flashlights. They were just fucking him up. Greg Brown comes in. He's like, look, stop. This doesn't need to happen. He's a very shrewd officer. So he, you know, later on he might try to catch you, like, so, you know, right. But it's like, once he got to know all of us, it was like, well, I mean, let me call Chris into the squad car to ask him a question. Not going to happen. Let me not waste my time. Right. Like, but that was the first civility that I had learned that police could be. Right. And I'm already 16, well into the streets. But I saw that little piece of civility and was like, maybe they're not all bad. But then I'm like, it's not like he reported them. It's not like you know what I mean? It wasn't.
The only passes I ever got was because my family was, you know, fairly well known. My mother was a hairdresser. My father, they all came from here, and then also too, my grandparents were well known. So you know, my aunt and uncle used to teach for Elmer Lewis and all this. So a lot of the black officers would know me.
Yes.
So I would catch a break like that, but also too, once again, because of what I saw early on, we could talk about that too, where my hustle became out of sight, out of mind. Yes. I you know, what's that thing? I see you later unless I see you first. Yes. I tried to have zero engagement. Okay. Now the next thing happened is, by the time now I'm 16, 17, right? Now I'm full blown, you know, in the game, and you know, I'm seeing the dirtiness. Yeah. Cop pulls you over. You got your girl in the car. Your girl's a cutie. He's like, oh, I know she got something on her. He sexually assaults her. Now squeezing her breasts and you know, looking in there for something that he probably already know ain't there. But whatever. So a lot of this stuff that was going on as young men that we didn't even, you know, I mean, I knew it was a complete violation, but we didn't know what to do about it.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? We understood that we had to suffer through it.
Right. So a lot of this now, once again, getting back to the analogy of 1950s Mississippi. Yeah. Where you going, boy? Oh, yeah, is this your woman here? Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, so it was like you really feel powerless. And then Next level was, you know, the officers who would take the drugs, slap you in your head, and send you off into the night.
Well, I used to get those passes all the time.
All the time,
yeah,
right.
I mean, all the time.
All the time, right, because of course they, you know, they got friends too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And we got the best coke and the best weed or whatever it was. So, you know, they dipping off to their little thing. And they got to feed whatever the hookers were that they were dealing with.
Absolutely.
Strippers and all this type of thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, then came the other thing where, hey, you know, look, this fell out of a car, you know what I mean? You might know what to do with this. Then there was that level of it too. Then I started knowing cops who were playing on the other side of the fence and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's one of the most significant.
Do you know one time detectives pulled me and a few of the dudes from around the way over and gave us the addresses on 4 Magnolia dudes.
Right.
So my man took the paper and he said, well, what's this? And he's like, well, that's, and this was when, you know, Humboldt and Magnolia had real issues. And he was like, man, get that shit out of here.
Bruh.
Like, this was when literally they'll pick you up and drop you off in your enemies and alert over the loudspeaker that they dropped you off.
Exactly. Do you remember too where there was and this happened in Chicago recently and little places, it's happened across the country. People always like, I'm like, yo, that used to happen in Boston in the 70s and 80s. Little caches of weapons that are just mysteriously left around. And,
absolutely.
There's a van with guns, full of guns in Franklin Park, or this, that, the other. Okay, so there was that. Okay, then here's where it got real dirty. All right, so back in the day, one of the biggest things that happened in high school was the Tiffany Moore murder. Yeah. Okay. Now, I went to Umana at the time, which was a magnet school. And so Umana was unique because they actually put together a whole bunch of cats who would not have known each other under any other circumstances. We, you know, and some of us clicked up, some of us did not. But whatever. So Tiffany Moore thing happens. Humboldt went crazy.
Yeah.
You know, police is snatching everybody up.
Yep.
Okay. So
matter of fact, they gave directives for, so back in the day they didn't care if you walked around drinking, smoking.
Yep.
That was inconsequential. But once certain incidences happened, the orders came down, arrest them for
everything.
Everything.
Right, exactly.
Everything.
So now and I used to just get caught to and from.
Yes.
So because I did not hang out. So they caught me up a couple times, questioned me about it, of course, man. I don't know. So the first 2 times they didn't have anybody. By the 3rd time that they snatched me up, they had Sean Drumgold.
Yep.
Okay. So they was like, listen, we know that you know people around here, you go to school with these people and da-da-da-da, you're here and you're there and you're all in the mix and da-da-da-da. So, you know, we want you to tell us who did it. I said, I can't tell you who did it. I can tell you who did not do it.
Yes.
They was like, yeah, we fucking know. We know. So they admitted to, and I don't want to give up too much of this conversation, but they was like, they admitted to me that they knew that Sean did not do it. Then they named 2 people who were the suspects in their mind, which tells me now here the police admitting to me, I think I was 16 at the time, admitting to me, you know that the guy that you have who's in the paper and the TV,
yep,
you know he's not the one. You just named other people who you think might be the ones,
or who you want to be the one.
Yeah. And here you are fucking with me.
Yep.
So that was the next level of corruption where I'm like, yo, these people don't even matter like about no murder, about like, you know, and it wasn't no murder of another gangster.
This was the murder of a little girl.
A little girl.
Yes, enjoying the
up
weather.
Here from the south, you know what I mean? Yeah. Sitting on the mailbox.
Yes.
And you know, not for nothing too, black men, you know, or whoever, once we do shoot, here go the other thing. Crazy stuff happen. So if you really do want to shoot somebody and kill, here's my advice about killing people. First of all, if you ever do have to take a life, please let it be worth something. Like tell me that he raped your mama.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tell me something, you know.
Tell me something that makes sense immediately.
You know what I mean? He killed your baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 1.
Yeah, this was a time to kill. Samuel Jackson.
What I mean?
It's like, yes.
Next thing, if you see somebody that you got beef with and you want to shoot and they're at the basketball court and he's there, the guy that you hate, you know, Sammy Smith, I hate him. He's right there. and there's 50 other people around playing basketball, can you wait? Maybe wait for an opportunity with you and Sammy Armano Imano.
And for me, the way I understand it, it's really just a form of harm reduction. It's really just a form of harm reduction.
I call it being real.
Yes,
And if I'm gonna shoot from here and there, I also hope you know how to shoot.
Yes.
You're doing all of this stuff and all this stuff you've seen in the movies and your favorite little rap video or whatever. And now, meantime, you done shot 3 people that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You done shot what was the old lady who got killed up?
In Mattapan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We done shot old ladies. We done shot multiple babies over the years. I think she was
84?
84.
It was something like that.
Tiffany Moore, I think, was 11 or 12 at the time.
Yes.
What's the other little baby? Got put into the wheelchair. She's still alive, thank God, but she's paralyzed for life.
Yes.
Based off of
I forget his first name, but he's my man's little brother, but Goffigan, and when he got killed.
Oh, yeah. Jermaine Goffigan. Yeah, absolutely. Trina Passard.
Yeah.
Yo, so like all of this, to me, this stray bullet, you know, if we can control one, because see, I'm a realist. There's never going to be a time when there's no murders in the planet.
Oh, I mean, let's just be realistic.
Right.
Yes.
Cain killed Abel.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There's going to be murder on the planet. People are going to get upset. There's going to be fights.
Yes.
All I'm saying is the wanton extra thing. Like, there should be no casualty, kids, crossfire, no old lady, no this, that. You just came from the club. You just came, whatever. I don't, you know, once again, I'm a realist. How everybody was out here on Talbot the other night, you know, partying up, or back in my day when it was 3 C's or whatever like that.
Sky cap.
Right, sky cap, whatever. Right. I don't really care what you do. You out there, you drunk, you high, you got beef. Once again, I get it. These things happen. The random casualties, the goofiness, to me, is the part that, to me, ain't nothing G about that.
Yes.
Nothing G about that. It's the opposite of G.
Yes.
So, you know, particularly for these dudes who everybody act like they Rambo. Don't even get me started. But let me tell you what, a couple of things I want to do. One, I would like to set up some programs with some of us. We can link up. We got these dudes from churches and all that. One of the biggest things for me as a manhood builder young, I want to take some of these dudes off the block. I want to take these kids fishing. Never been off the block. Fishing is relaxing, whatever. We go charter a boat. We take, I don't know, 20 or 30 of them at a time. You know, maybe 20. 20 for a boat. You know, 20, 30, boom, boom. We going to go, and we do it like every 2 weeks. Maybe we do it 4 times.
Consistency
in the summer or something like that. What have you. And then we can rotate too, because we do one for, you know, like some of the active gangster cats.
Yes.
We also do one for young kids too.
Yes. Just
so they could be around some positive man and, you know, learn how to goddamn fish.
Yes.
Right? Okay, boom. Another thing, on another tip, I would love to take a group of serious-minded, dedicated, and disciplined black men to the range. Right? Let's go to the range.
Absolutely.
Why don't we have things like, you know, some of the women or parents or whatever, they got a book club. You know, you was in jail. Everybody reads books in jail.
Yep.
Then we get out and everybody act like they're allergic to books. Can we get a black men's book club? And we're not reading, you know, what's it called? Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. We're reading something that's going to edify us and move us forward.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Let's start these things. You know, let's go. Can we walk in the park? You know, every Sunday, can we get 10 black men that want to walk in the park and build on something? Like, so there's a lot of stuff that we could do where, what I say in the revolution, we ultimately won't even lift our pinky finger for. We say we want it. We want to get swole, but we will not do one push-up. Not one. And the little light things, I'm thinking, with all these cats out there, you know, I see the videos and it really sickens me. Can we get 10? Are there 10 black men who will throw $100 into a pool so that we have 1,000? Then if we get 1,000, can we find another 10 minutes and let's just throw it? No, throw it in the bank account. Let's sit back for a minute. How long would it take us to raise $5,000 or $10,000 to figure out, yo, let's do something?
Yes.
What we gonna do?
No time at all.
Start a business, whatever. Even if we did the low-hanging fruit and just said, all right, next summer we're gonna throw a barbecue for the kids or something like that. You know, we could spend that money in no time. But if we were more serious-minded and say, yo, let's, I don't know, something. Let's start a cooperative. That's the type of, that was my frustration all the years on Humboldt. That's one of the reasons I, got off the block early. As I told you, the crowding of the thing. Like, how do you make a buck when there's 20 people out here and there's one fiend? Is the fiend fiending for our drug, or the drug dealers fiending for the fiend?
Yeah.
And all them years we've been out there, only black man ever that was in business out there was Mr. Utley.
And I think, didn't Archie own the barbershop for a little while, right?
Oh yeah. No,
I wasn't
the barbershop, and then Joey had the barbershop.
Yes.
And the liquor store and all that was owned. I'm talking about, but after all that left,
yes,
the only one who stayed there for a little while was Utley's, and then Utley finally ended up leaving too. Because back in the day too, I think the pharmacy might have been black too.
Well, no, I don't even think it was a pharmacy.
There was definitely a pharmacy on the corner. That's back in the day.
That's before me. Okay, that's before me.
Back in the day.
Because I think I don't know.
The phone store used to be a pharmacy.
Yes, yeah. Okay, yep. And did Shane own the liquor store?
I believe so.
It was black owned. Either way. Okay.
I believe so. And I believe that's the same family who owns the joint down Dudley.
Down Dudley, yeah,
exactly.
It's Giant Liquors, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, yep. They're still in business too.
They need to put a steak and cheese down there. Stop playing around.
Bring Wally back.
Wings,
oh man, them breakfast.
Stop playing around.
I used to have
shout out
breakfast. Yes, I used to have those breakfast sandwiches. Oh,
is he still alive?
I have no clue. I have no clue.
I'm gonna ask my dude next time.
Yeah, if you find out, I have no clue. It seems like 1,000 years ago all that happened. But so I want to get back to the police reform. So obviously these incidences influence you.
Yep.
How do you turn the mentality of, first of all, just being okay with it but not okay with it, into learning how to try to push for change?
Okay, so once again, the way that my brain was working at the time, and I'm a poet and I'm a rapper, right? So I started rhyming in 1981 when I was 10 years old. And so some of my first lyrics and poems were always politically charged, and the things that I'm talking about, things that I'm seeing. So obviously, police became a thing.
But you didn't know. But was politically charged a word you knew then, a phrase you knew then?
Oh yeah. And I mean, so for instance, I was a super political kid, but I was a kid nonetheless. So,
okay. So you understood what was you.
Yeah. But I go back and read some of the stuff.
Because it's like I experienced post-traumatic stress when I was a kid, but I didn't learn that term until I was.
Oh yeah, no, I knew. No,
that's what I. Okay.
No, I was very aware of the terms and all this type of stuff, and I knew about the wars that were going on in other places in Africa and the Middle East. I was very but
I didn't learn about that till I went to prison and read George Jackson.
So I was already reading George Jackson. So now here go the thing. Patrice Lumumba, all the Nkrumah, all the Pan-Africanists and all this type of thing. But at the same time though too, my analysis was so simple of it. It's like an 11-year-old kid that you tell about the conflict in the Middle East, and they're like, just send me over there. I could solve it.
Yes,
2 hours.
I could write them a letter.
Right, you know what I mean? So it was a lot of that type of stuff.
Yes.
So that type of stuff. So obviously, I understand with a great more level of depth now. But so also too in school now, when I'm doing my writing, and certain people were encouraging my writing, others were discouraging my writing
within the school system.
The school and mentors and groups that that I had, other organizations and other.
Okay.
I've always had a healthy set of other people that I was talking to and bouncing ideas off of in school and out of school. Which
just to point out is super important, because if your only messages come from a school and that school's not favorable towards you, that can set into motion some very tough things later on.
So one of the reasons I got suspended from school was because my teacher, her name was, I believe, Miss Stern. I think it was Elizabeth Stern, but Miss Stern who, you know, Black History Month, waited the whole month of February, and it got to like the last week, and then she was like, oh, we're gonna do something, and then of course, typically we're gonna talk about slavery. Yeah. And I was like, excuse me, yeah, that's not Black history. And you know, and she hit me with the old, well, if you think you can do better, then you come and you teach class tomorrow.
No, she didn't hit you with the tray.
Yeah, she did. And she did, and so I did.
Yes.
And so so I came to school the next day, prepared like a and I started teaching class.
Did you see it as a challenge?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And I knew I was in this conflict with this adult.
Okay.
But the adult was, you know, what did Bugs Bunny say? Obviously, she don't know me very well.
Yes.
So I came the next day with my heavy hitting stuff. And I got through about 20 minutes of it before she stopped it and sent me to the office. And I literally got kicked out of that class for teaching history better than she could.
What was the actual word they used for the suspension or kicked out?
Disruptive. Yeah, disruptive.
Okay.
Disruptive.
So teaching truth was a disruption.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Right. Disrupting what they was doing.
Okay.
In the most technical usage of the term.
Okay.
But so in any event, but you know, by this time I'm writing, I'm super engaged. So, you know, in that, our school was faced with closing. The Umana school was faced with closing. I'm part of the people who are saying, you know, save our school, keep our school open, and you know, this type of thing. So that also showed me another level of activism. Now, at the same time too, I'm at the Roxbury Boys and Girls Club under Larry Jones. Shout out to Larry Jones and Richard Ward. Shout out to Richard Ward, both of whom are still around. Nio Sanford. Shout out to Miss Nio. All whom still around. But these people were also cultivating leadership, and they used to have little forums. So the TV show Chronicle came to the Roxbury Boys and Girls Club to talk about the, you know, then the new cracking gangs and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was one of the speakers. So it all kind of just blah, blah, blah. The next time something happened, KRS came to Roxbury Boys Club, sponsored by WILD across the street.
Wow, WILD. Wow. Shout
out to Captain Stephen Hill. Okay, and shout out to Dana. I forget Dana's last name. Redhead, white lady, super cool. But Dana and Captain Stephen Hill, KRS was coming on the Stop the Violence tour. Who did they get as a young speaker? Jamal Crawford. I opened up for KRS with a speech.
That must have felt really good.
It did, except I don't like KRS. I'm a Rakim guy. I'm a Rakim guy. Rakim, Big Daddy, you know, Cool G Rap, KRS. He was aight. Yeah. He's aight, you know. But in any event, so but at that time, you know, it was a big thing and Stop the Violence, and you know, it was that thing. So I came from that. And in that, speaking more at community meetings and joining little, you know, I became a youth activist. So much so that by 19 is when I met Nelson Mandela and Bishop Tutu and Winnie when they came to Roxbury. I was the young speaker there. So fittingly with this, I'm gonna tell this story really briefly. This has been my life too. 1 foot in, 1 foot out, the duality. So here I met Mandela at 19 years old. I was the black man representing the youth speaker. Najma Naziat, if y'all know her, shout out to Najma, love you sis. She was the youth female representative. Okay. And so we were supposed to speak before Mandela came in or whatnot. Okay, so we're all on stage with Mandela and all this. Now, once again, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Before I got there, I smoked the Uli. Yeah. I think I had, I don't know, probably now what is about what they call a 3.5, a reefer in my pocket. Yes. And I certainly had less than 8 ball, like a teenth. Reefer, you know, reefer. I'm old school. And this is back too. Listen, this is when we rolled the Ulis in easy widers. Yes. And so I had about a 16th of Coke too. That's old too, because I don't know if the kids know what a 16th is. But you know, I had a teenth and a thing. You know, But so smoke the Uli outside. I'm in my full-blown African garb, in my dashiki, about to do the most powerful black stuff in my life, but I'm still trapped in the thing of my addiction. So before this, that's what was fly to me. Yo, I'm about to go do this. Hold up. Let me stop and smoke a Uli. I go to smoke the Uli. I bump into somebody I know. I don't want to put them out there. But they are a professional person. And was like, oh, yo, you here for this? Yeah, what you about to do? Well, let's talk for a minute. All right, cool, we can talk, but I only got a few minutes. I'm about to go smoke this thing. Yeah. She's like, all right, well, let's go smoke it.
I'll match.
So we went and smoked out, and then went in there for Mandela and anybody who's been in any type of event like that. I mean, Secret Service is there. It was a big, it's a big deal. They tell you don't stand up until it's this time, and you stay down and over there. And I'm in there, you know, I don't say high as hell because you know that's what I was doing at the time. And I only smoked one, you know, but whatever, I'm in there buzzed, you know what I mean, doing all this thing. And so the level of in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, that's been a constant theme, throughout my life and shit. And so after the Mandela thing, my activism continued, my rap career continued. My poetry continued. I started getting national recognition. That's when I started bouncing out of here and going to New York and Atlanta. That's where I really started meeting.
And how old were you when you started when you started traveling specifically because of the activism?
Because of the activism?
Well, because of what you were doing in terms of the music. At this point, I'm looking at it all.
So even what's funny is the activism was even informed by the drugs. So for instance, I was already in New York by the time I was, you know, 18 years old. I had already been back and forth to New York, right? But that was drug related.
Yes.
But what that did was led me a familiarity that was, I knew where the Apollo was. I knew, you know, and also too, I could get in because I had the reefer and the coke.
Yes.
So I had the ultimate free ticket.
So I mean, in essence, there was really no reason to stop either or. Like it worked.
They worked.
Yes. Yes, I get what
you mean. They worked great together.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, made better connections. So sometimes you run into somebody got something better than you, made a better connection. So a lot of times, you know, I had something better than they. But ultimately, you can get. Look, I was in the clubs back in Boston when I was 17 and 16 years old because I had the coke. So I was in the gallery back in the day, you know, hanging out with my dudes who were all older than me back in the day. You know what I mean? Like been there, done that. You know, by the time I get to Atlanta, and you know, now I'm running nightclubs, and you know, the money is larger, and all the people. If I told you all the famous people I know, people wouldn't believe it. But like people like Little John, it's my guy. People like, you know, Andre 3000, he used to look up to me. You know, so it's weird how you can have, and when I said look up, like not like he was around me, he was my son Dunny, not like that. I was an underground rapper in Atlanta that was had a lot of respect in the underground black circle, and this is before he popped off. And I found out later that he used to like my stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? As did a lot of different people. India Ari was a fan. Like, so it's weird how the life has worked.
Yes.
Right?
The influences you have and the seeds you plant without even realizing it.
And what they did for me.
Yeah. Yes.
Because too, like, so now here it is. At one point, Andre 3000, let's say, might have looked up into the Uno the Prophet, right? But now Uno the Prophet is looking up to Andre 3000. Like, man, you better shine, kid.
Yes.
Because when you was just a little, in my world, not for nothing, I used to look down on them because I was one of them arrogant people who went down south with a superior attitude and was back in them days is when they used to wear the baseball hat with the flipped up front.
Yes.
That style. And they used to have the socks that were pulled up.
Yep.
I was like, look at these goofballs.
Yeah. It was straight beginning of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
You know what I'm saying? I'm down there 3 stripe down.
Yes. You know
what I mean?
I'm like, ass. Yeah.
I'm mad it's too hot to bring my sheepskin.
Not even realizing. Hey, people get it so confused, man. People from the South simply talk a little bit slower. Their minds work just as fast as us. It's not.
Well, they don't know how to cook cocaine though. When I first went down
but they had you for that.
Yes, because I was like, crack rocks are not supposed to be mushy. If I throw it on a plate, ting, you supposed to go have to find it. that sucker need to bounce and split. They had mush to be like, and it would hit on the plate like a boogie.
Yes.
Just stick there. Okay.
Crazy times.
Crazy times, yo. But yeah,
so,
not for nothing.
But I'm connected to how eventually you've created and I'm learning. See, I thought your beginnings were a little bit different, and there was more like a transformation once you were older, sort of like me.
Nope.
But I love the fact that this had always been the duality.
Yep.
At what point do you say, I'm gonna focus on these particular issues and I'm gonna go hard with them? Okay. And not just go hard with them, but the structure kind of thinking that it takes to kind of approach some of these.
I had got a woman pregnant here in Boston, who I loved, and still got mad love for to this day. And you know, I thought I was gonna get married and all that. And at that time, I'm pistol packing, I'm pistol selling, I'm sniffing, I'm smoking oolies, whatever. And I'm just like, I know this is not the life I want. So I'm like, listen, sweetheart, I'm gonna dip.
And was that an epiphany, or did you always kind of know, like, damn?
Nah, I knew this was not like this.
Okay.
This ain't gonna be forever.
Okay.
I'm just, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But so at the same time too, I also had some promising things in the music industry. So I'm like, listen, sweetheart, I'm gonna go to Atlanta. My man was down there doing some major things. We had some little irons in the fire soundtracks, and Spike Lee and blah blah blah. And so like, I'm gonna dip down there and establish some thing. I'm gonna do my thug thizzle and buy a house. We'll get married and blah blah blah, all the whole thing. And so I used that also too as a time to dry up. So when I went down there, I say after my first 6 months in Atlanta, I never smoked another oolie again. It actually helped that they didn't know how to cook rice.
Interest? No, I think you're right.
Yeah, because the first one I got, I was like, "Ooh, this is salty as hell." It was all mushy and salty.
Yeah, might as well have some Vivitrol.
Right. So I was like, no. So in Atlanta, I think I only even attempted to smoke a oolie maybe 2 times, and then that was it. And then, I got more into the music, running the businesses, the nightclubs and all that. And, our relationship fell off. Okay. So the vision of the wife and the house, all that fell off, which then caused me to go back into more hustling and just, I'm going to just stack money then. And so I went back and more into the money.
And can I use the word depression in this sense?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
It's hard for me to think of a time when I haven't been depressed. Because, now this could go into the fight against knowledge. If I could go back and choose whether to be conscious or to just be like some of my homeboys I know who don't think about none of this shit.
Of course.
It's almost that red pill, blue pill shit.
Absolutely.
I might be like, show me back to my alien pod and let me go back to sleep. You know what I mean? Because this shit has been painful.
Understood.
It's a painful process. There's no, how Annie go? Instead of kisses, we get kicks. You know what I mean? It's a hard knock life. So, I don't know. That'd be deep. But so all of these types of things, I'm in survival mode, is what I'm in.
Yes.
Survival, but also thriving too, because I'm making a lot of money. So I'm doing this, but at the same time too, my legend is building in terms of the underground hip hop, which is mainly where all my black empowerment ideas are coming out and the poetry and all this. So now I'm meeting more and more people, which is, increasing my thing. And, I'm picking up more mentors and elders. And, by the time I come back to Boston in 1997, after being in Atlanta for basically 7 years, it was on and popping. And now I was coming back trying to bring what I had already known from being in New York, Philly, Chicago, LA, and I'm coming back like, we about to get it popping. Then I came back and it was like, Boston's still whack, huh? Oh. So, and when I came back to Boston, another trying to do right situation, the woman I was with at the time was pregnant. I did not want to raise my child in Georgia. So we packed up all our stuff, came back to Boston to raise my child here. Mm-hmm. She subsequently ends up leaving me 6 months later. And now I ended up remaining here, stuck in Boston, in a sad version of the Twilight Zone.
Understood. Understood. Totally understood.
Yup. But yeah, the activism was always there and really guided by the people I met along the way, a lot of which, so what I'll tell you is this. One of my mentors who I got a lot of love for is Mutulu Shakur. We've never even met because he's been locked up since 1986. This is Tupac's father or stepfather.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You do, but I know a lot of they don't. everybody love Tupac, but ain't nobody sending Matulu no letters, no love. You know what I mean? And so, he been locked up this situation. Now, he getting up there in age. You know what I mean? He just had his 70th birthday.
And to be clear, so many from that era are still classified as political prisoners and have easily big loopholes in their cases and technicalities, but they will always overlook them because they're political status.
I was going to say, not for him, he's already timed out at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
He was supposed to get out some years back.
Exactly. They did that to this brother upstate from Mass, this brother named Ralph Ham.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he ended up doing 30-something years on a second because of he had got caught up in someone, I think the victim was white. This was the 70s, and he was part of the party, and it was just so it's disgusting how they did that whole generation of men and women. I mean, and women. It wasn't for just men.
And so a guy like him, he had a lot of influence on me early. Meeting probably the only person I've met where I really got starstruck back in the beginning was Chuck D. Because I was so into, Rakim and Chuck D. And, meeting Chuck D and all that. And so that, big influence like that, particularly musically and all that. And, certain people, Amiri Baraka, so certain things that I've been able to, whatever, it all informed it. And like I said, it's like, if you drop a bottle cap in the water and you see that all the water is going this way, you can have a good estimation. We're going to drop it here, and then it's going to end up down there.
Yep.
Because this is the way that all this shit is flowing. That's kind of how I feel like everything that happened in my life led me to this point. The only thing I could be is the things that they wanted, which is dead or in jail. You know what I mean? It was either going to be I was going to be dead, I was going to be in jail, or I was going to be this type. Or no, or we'll add another option. Or I'd be down methadone mile, just super inebriated and
and let's be clear, in the 80s, every neighborhood was a methadone mile.
Oh, yeah.
let's be clear about that.
Even though the dope, in terms of the diesel, was so in my era it was definitely more crack. Although, I've sold both. My guys certainly made a hell of a lot of money off of the heroin and whatnot. But for whatever reason, this time around, I don't know. I don't remember it being this bad in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, I've never seen this many, discarded needles around.
Yes.
And either dope fiends back in the day used to be cleaner, take more pride in themselves or something, because, just the amount of needles that I'm seeing and then also, too, back in the day, I think the craziest thing they was doing was they was mixing the dope with the coke, speedball, chasing the dragon. That was it. But now, this dope with the fentanyl, and then what they're doing, they're shooting in. When I used to say, white boys on pills, stupid me, I didn't know that you crush up the pill and you shoot that up, you know what I mean, or sniff it or whatever.
Please,
they're doing it any kind of way. And so to me, it's way different. Like back in our days, you shot dope, you sniff dope. You know what I mean? Every now and again, once you got them bad folks, then you got them people who were shooting it between their toes and in their butt and, under their arm or whatever. You know what I mean? They got to get creative with finding new spaces.
Yes.
But just this wonton, like what you see down Dudley or Methadone Mile all day, every day, with no regard. I'm like, yo.
I mean, it's literally Amsterdam.
It's crazy. I've never seen nothing like this in my life. Ever.
So, last question, and you've brought this word up 1,000 times in this conversation. 1, what is a mentor? And 2, how important is a healthy mentor?
Yeah. Keyword healthy, right? So, let me just tell you this. It's funny because when you put your first signs up, if you're in jail, would a gang raise your child? The fucked up answer is yes.
Yes. Raise them just like
yeah. And you'll come home and Pookie be talking shit to you too.
Yes.
Right? Because if we see all of these movies, gangs and whoever, whatever, for a long time have had no problem. They got a child daycare program. Right? I mean, some of my earliest things was somebody who said, yo, hold this, stand right here, $20. I ain't do nothing. or I didn't know what I did.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or hey, see that man over there in the red jacket? Hey, go give this to him, kid. You know, once again, this is from the days when you going to the store for your auntie, cool cigarettes, you know, a sausage in the little bag, and hear her numbers.
And a pickle off the counter.
A pickle and 5, 12, 10, 15, 22, motherfucker.
Yes.
So in them days, adults were passing all sorts of things to kids in front, you know what I mean? So many of us have been mentored. Many of us today as grown men are still in or participating in damaged things about our relationship because some older dude told us, hey, yo, listen, let me tell you, young man, this is how you talk to a woman.
Yeah.
And now you still think that that's really how you talk to a woman.
Yeah.
From this old, broke and lonely, dusty, crusty.
All I was ever taught, mostly on Humboldt, was just do them 10 times worse, whatever they did to you.
Bruh. Most of the advice we get is bad.
Bad.
And
it's actually worse than bad. Yes.
Right. And I mean, you know, in terms of the hustler type of thing, I always fancied myself more of a Jay-Z type than an MOP type.
I get what you mean.
So that I used to get financial advice from dudes who I'm like, dude, you ain't even gonna have your re-up next week. I see how you move. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to all your financial advice and I'm gonna do the opposite.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I see cats who giving me relationship advice. Yeah, you got 8 women, but 6 of them got black eyes. 3 of them is pregnant and none of them like you. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, no, that's not the life I'm looking for.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So certain things like that, that's exactly why you have to seek out sanity in the desert of crazy. And that mentor, like in the case like Matulu, we've never met. We've only had a couple of phone conversations. Our communication has been primarily through letters, which that hasn't even been a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's primarily one-way instructional. Mm-hmm. Young bro, it's like a professor giving you homework.
Yes.
Yo, you need to check this out. You need to do this. You need to holler back at me after you check that out. Okay? So a healthy mentor, I think, is imperative, particularly the condition that we live in now, where so many young black men don't have an example. And God bless you, black women and other extended family and all that, because folks is really standing up. And that old thing, you know, they got to be the mama and the daddy and all that, that's not even realistic. And what I'm talking about, it actually even goes beyond gender, right? I'm just talking about powerful examples for your kid that may, in fact, be beyond you. You the parent, you the mommy, daddy, and then look, there's Uncle Charlie, there's Auntie Freddie, all that. But I mean, somebody else. Maybe somebody who is a professional in whatever it is that your kid is showing interest in.
Even take Christian. I don't know the best way to parent him with the autism. There's specialists that work with him on certain things. I'm not that specialist. I can't work with him on that.
So like I see him when he's doing this thing too, you know, I know he loved them video games.
Yes.
So let's say in a couple more years, he says, you know what, Dad? I want to make video games.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So now we would have to find him a mentor.
Yes.
In the field of computer programming and stuff, because that's beyond, even me, I'm a computer guy. I don't know how to do that.
Yes.
I might want to sit in on some of them sessions, right? So a mentor in whatever that area is. Some kids, maybe they gravitate towards martial arts. Boom. Well, a kid might be into dance. Boom. A kid might be a bookworm. Boom. Whatever it is. A kid might be a business whiz. You might have one of these kids you see on the Shark Tank who's 12 years old, says, Daddy, I want to start a t-shirt company. You don't know nothing about starting up a t-shirt company, but you have to listen.
Yes.
To learn.
Listen to learn. That's absolutely.
See what I did there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I really enjoy about what you're saying is that along the way, you remained open to new experiences.
And closed to some others.
And I feel like that is a major deficiency for a lot of not forget young people, for people, period.
And let me speak to that, because on a, like keeping it real and being a real G and all that, right? So for me, what I really learn, one of the biggest lessons I had to learn was walking away from fuckery.
Yes.
Seeing something that I just knew I was not down with.
Yes.
Like, you know, so I'll give you a great one.
Regardless of who is involved, friend or good friend, no matter what.
So I'll give you a great one.
Yes.
I'm 49 years old. I've never ran a train in my life. Never been involved in a train.
And we don't mean the orange line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, just because I just was never into that.
Yes.
From an early age, it seemed icky.
Yes.
So, you know, and I've had plenty of opportunities. And I, you know, funny, sarcastic guy that I am, I would always say, hey, I'm down with the train. I just get to hit it first and you all leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when I'm done, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? So, you know, it was like, nah, I'm not into this. You know, so certain things I just easily, like, I've never taken intravenous drugs.
Yeah.
Certain things, and you know, I've obviously had super. I've never sniffed dope or nothing like that. I've sniffed coke, not heroin, you know, or anything else. So things like that. Never taken a pill beyond.
Yep.
You know, like I've taken a perk, but it was after surgery and not abusively or to get high.
Yes.
No pills, nothing like that. So I'm saying all certain things that I just avoided in my life. Ain't never raped no broad or ever been involved in no taking of no punani. Certain things it's just like you gotta steer clear of.
Yes.
Ain't never stole no money from no elderly person. Never did nothing funky to no child. There's a certain list of things that's like, oh, no go.
Yes.
And some of those things on that list are not only things that if I see, I will just get away from. Some of those things, like if I'm around and I see somebody about to do something funky with a child, y'all might make me catch another case. Because I'm not just leaving
and that's the other
and letting it
part
go
of that.
down. Or a rape.
Yes.
Or a rape.
Absolutely. And I like that you said that because I feel like you're right. It's not it's multi-layered. It's not just that I don't do that. It's you're not going to do that in front of me.
Right.
Yes, 100%.
Right. If I know you about to rape a woman or a child, listen, first of all, I'm gonna try to stop you myself. If I can't stop you myself, let me say it for the record. Let me look right in the camera. I'm snitching.
Yep.
I snitch on rapists and diddlers.
And this is Jamal saying this, so that means something.
And and to quote another crazy buck now, look, I snitch on rapists and diddlers all day and twice on Sundays. Yeah. Okay? Believe it. Believe it.
Yes.
Okay?
Understood. Jamal, thank you.
My God.
I